Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Sporemon. I'm Jack, and today we're going to be going over the next three 5-stage evolutionary lines, starting down here with the Turtum line. This line is, I believe, Ghost and Psychic type, or sorry, Ghost and Steel type, with the Ultra Evolution being Ghost and Ice. So, starting with Turtum, a name based off of turtle, and I'm not sure what else, but it is a Steel and Ghost type. It's the Crichtonsaurus Sporemon, which I believe all of these are going to be based off of Ankylosaurids, Crichtonsaurus being one of those. So, as far as stats go, clearly its defense is its best. As far as stats overall go, they're quite good for a first stage, with speed being really the only bad one. Both defenses are actually great, and both attacks are almost equal, with physical slightly edging out special. But all around, great stats, with only that speed being its downfall. Its ability is Loose Armor. When it's attacking, boost attack and speed one stage and decrease defense by one. So this is quite the large ability. But what it means is when this Sporemon attacks, it automatically will boost its attack and speed by one stage and then decrease its defense by one. So every turn that it attacks is going to be able to attack harder and faster, but its defense is going to be worse and worse. So pluses and minuses, I'd say for a tank build, you probably don't want this sort of ability. However, boosting the attack is definitely a plus, so it's not a bad ability. This evolves into Ankylotum, definitely based off of Ankylosaurus, which it is the Ankylosaurus Sporemon. Definitely getting bigger. It's very tank built, low to the ground, heavy armor, armored legs, armored head, big spike tail, with that ghostly sort of base with a steely defensive outer shell. Still a steel and ghost type. As far as stats go, for a second evolution, they're actually fantastic. Special defense starts lacking behind a bit. However, its defense is great. HP is great. Attack is great. Special attack is pretty good. And its speed is still pretty bad with the same ability. So basically the same as its pre-evolution, except just better in every way. And then moving on to the final stage, which is Fan Titan Tank, based off of Phantom, Titan, and Tank. This is simply the Titan Sporemon. He's quite large. He definitely starts to get a bit of a different attack, more a bit of a different stance, a bit more offensive, with him being higher off the ground, larger front legs, and a more overall active-looking stance. Still quite armored, but maybe a bit less. Darker metal coloring with that underneath purples remaining mostly the same, and a large hammer for a tail instead of that club we saw earlier. Seal and Ghost still, as far as stats, HP, pretty good. Attack, quite good. Defense, quite good. Special attack, pretty good. And special defense, all right. And then speed, getting to be higher for sure, but not fantastic. Still on the slow side. With that same ability, as well as a new ability, Ghost Hammer. Physical attacks force the enemy to use their weaker of their two defensive stats. So this is a fantastic ability. Basically, when they use a physical attack using their 150 attack stat, it's going to target whichever defense is lower on the enemy. So say you have an enemy with 150 defense and then 20 special defense, and he attacks them with a physical attack. Instead of targeting that defense, meaning it would do not very much damage, it's going to target that special defense, meaning it's going to do much more damage. That's a fantastic ability on an otherwise quite good stat Sporemon. So, moving on to the Ultra Evolution. This one is Dodecarice, based off of the Dodecarice Sporemon. The Ultra Evolution has an Ice and a Ghost type. He's got the characteristic small head, large round body, small legs, and large tail of the Dodecarice. He's got a lot of heavy plating with a large, almost mountain-looking spike on top, a lot of ice spikes coming out, very brightly colored light blue ice with a dark blue ghostly underneath. As far as stats go, Sort of min-maxed the previous build with lower stats in everything except defense and special attack. So he's actually a special attacker primarily now, with almost even attack and special attack. Decently low special defense, but very, very high defense. This thing is going to take physical hits like an absolute monster. And his ability is now only ice armor. When attacking, boost attack and speed by 2 stages, and increase defense also by 2. Which is a pretty good one for this, considering how monstrous its defense is, and it could really use more attack and speed. Also, when hit by an ice attack, increase defense by 1 stage. That's pretty simple. It's not going to be hit by ice often, but if it ever is, it's going to increase its defense back up. All right, and now finally for this line, we have MegaFan Titan tank. Really just like Fan Titan tank, except definitely more upright, a bit larger, more dramatic features, a longer hammer, and then definitely much better stats. Its attack is monstrous, its HP is great, its defense is great, special attack pretty good, special defense pretty good, speed decent, and same abilities as the as its non-mega form. All right, that does it for that line. Moving on to the next one. The main line is water and poison, with the alter evolution being fire and poison. Starting off down here with Flow Toxic. Poison and water type. It is a floater, so you can see it would stretch its limbs out and float on the water with a sail-like tail fin and a very piscivorous sort of head. It's the Fisher Sporemon. Stats are decently underwhelming. Highest definitely being special attack, which is decent for a first stage, but otherwise not great stats. But let's see the abilities. Piscivore. When fighting a water type, gain 1 attack stage. So it's good against water types. That's the most useful being water type itself, but there are a lot of water types, so it is still a useful trait to have. It also has float, which means it cannot be hit by ground type moves. And being poison type, it is weak to ground, so that definitely helps. And also, it has the ability sail. It looks like it's a bit cut off, but I can tell when it's hit by a special flying move, it's going to increase its speed, which it definitely needs with a decently low speed stat. But moving on to Baneclaw. Poison water still. Fish Bane Sporemon. You can see it's got a very lanky build, large claws in the front with flippers in the back, and a long tail with a big claw on the end, and some sail-looking fins on its back and head. As far as stats go, again, fairly underwhelming. Its speed gets a massive boost, which it definitely appreciated, and its now primary attack is physical. Not great, though. It's not going to be super powerful for a while. You're going to really need to rely on that high speed. And let's check out the ability. So it loses the sail, but it keeps Piscivore. And it also lost the second one and now has Amphibious. So it can, after using a water move, gain 1 speed. So this thing's going to be very, very fast quite quickly. And then it also has the ability Vicious Claw. Physical critical hits land more easily. Okay, so that's great for it. It really needs some better attack, so that physical attack stat is not going to be boosted occasionally with that Vicious Claw ability. All right, moving on to Toxitalon, the final stage. The Water Stalker. Very lanky, very aquatic looking, some bright greens in there, a big slicing tail, large claws, very long legs, and some sail fins on its back, as well as a very draconic looking head. Poison water. HP is decent now. Attack is pretty good. Defense is not great. That's pretty bad defense. Special attack also not great. Special defense is okay. And speed is pretty good. Same abilities as its pre-evolution, meaning this thing can get pretty fast. It's gonna hit pretty hard on physical attack with that critical hit ratio being increased. It's just not going to be as common as something with just a pure high attack stat. But for the alter evolution is Scorch Claw, the Lion Sporemon. You can see he's got a large mane here, sort of made to look like it's exploding as he's a poison and fire type. He's got that large tail claw still. More lower stance, definitely smaller than the other ones with less HP. However, he switches to being a primarily special attacker with pretty good special attack, definitely better special defense also, and decent speed. I would say he's overall less useful than the primary evolution. However, he is much more of a jack of all trades. So if that's what you're looking for, that would be better. His ability, he has two, and they are Flame Main, which means protected from critical hits. So you can never be critical hit. And when hit by a physical attack, he burns the enemy. So that's actually great. If something attacks them with a physical attack, it's going to burn them, doing damage every turn, as well as decreasing their physical attack by a whole lot. So that's actually a great ability. And then he also has Vicious Claw, critical hits land more easily, so he's going to be able to utilize that. So with that ability, he's definitely more of a staller, jack of all trades, sort of Sporemon, which definitely has its own specific uses, just not as much of an outright attacker as the main line. And for the Mega Toxitalon, Water Stalker, he's got all kinds of fins, looking like he's very boosted, that really dark base, some light blue undertones, and a lot of that lime green. Large claws, very lanky, long frame, pretty good HP, really good attack now. His attack stat's quite high. Defense is pretty bad still. Special attack is usable, but really it's poor compared to his attack stat. And special defense is fine, and speed is pretty high. His abilities are a little mixed up, so now he has Fish Devourer instead of Piscivore. So when he's fighting a water type, he gains 2 attack stages. He has the Amphibious ability, still water type gaining a speed, and Terrible Claw. Physical critical hits landed much more easily. So this thing can have absolutely massive physical attack on some turns where he lands a critical hit. All right. For the final evolutionary line of this video, this is the Meteor munchline. This is a cosmic and rock type main line with a rock and psychic type ultra evolution. So this is the first time we've seen the cosmic type, which if you haven't seen the first video where I explained, we replaced the normal type, which is seen in regular Pokemon, with the cosmic type. And the idea behind this evolutionary line is, I believe, some kind of a alien which came to Earth and munched on some rocks to give him psychic power, or to give him more cosmic power, and then this one was a different kind of rock that gave him psychic power. I believe that's the general idea that I based the line off of. Anyway, this is the Meteor Sporemon. You can see pretty small, but he's got these rocky legs, very alien looking, this bulky body. He's got a razor on a tail, some spiky back, and a large, very hard jaw. So for stats, they're actually quite high. They're all quite high for an early evolution, and them all being even as well. Physical and special are all even. Attack, defense, special defense across the board, and they're all a pretty good stat. Speed, however, is very low, so that's something that you have to work around. Ability is Cosmic Power. All special attacks have a 50% chance to confuse the target. So, meaning whenever he uses a special attack, there's a chance it'll confuse. Confusion is definitely good. It gives the opponent a chance to damage themselves instead of their target. So that's definitely quite useful. All right, we're going to move on to Mound Drill. Mountain and Drill. I think also I should explain. Yeah, Meteor and Munch. He's a eater of meteors. And now Mound Drill, Mountain or Mound with Drill. He's got a large drill on his forehead now. He's got some crystals growing on his sides, a more upright position, more spikes, a larger razor, and longer legs. Cosmic Rock, as far as stats go, they're again quite good for a second stage. High HP, and then high attack and defense across the board, special and physical. Definitely a jack of all trades, but pretty high stat jack of all trades at that, with pretty bad speed is his one big downfall. His ability, Cosmic Power. All special attacks have a 60% chance to confuse the target. So same as before, except now it's 60% instead of 50%. And this is the Gemstone Sporemon. Moving on to Crater Quake, the final evolution. This is the Crystal Mountain Sporemon, Cosmic and Rock still. Give him a second to load in. There we go. Get him to stand up. So this is a large, very large Sporemon. He's got a massive head, a large drill, these big crystals growing on his sides, massive spikes on his back, and a huge razor, as well as a huge torso, large legs, and large feet. And that's reflected in his very big HP stat of 190. And then his stats actually spread apart now with his attack stats growing past his defense. And for his final stage, these actually are not fantastic. His highest attack being 150 is decent, but not great. His defenses are both pretty good, so that'll do him well. And then speed is still pretty low. So for having very powerful pre-evolutions, this specific evolution is not fantastic. He does still have the Cosmic Power ability with now a 70% chance, and the Rock Crusher ability, which is new. Physical attacks deal double damage to rock types. So facing a rock type, he's going to do much more damage, which is definitely useful, but rock types aren't the most dangerous, so I wouldn't say it's a fantastic ability. Moving on, though, to his Alter evolution, Simothist, based off of Psychic and Amethyst. The Crystal Power Sporemon, Psychic and Rock type now. Definitely, he's got a bit of a weird appearance, but he's been living on Earth for a lot longer. He's eaten a lot of amethysts. You can see him all over his body, on his legs. He's got a softer body, but with more of those crystals on him. And definitely a different appearance. No razor anymore. Got a hairier back instead of a spiky one. Different horns and face shape. HP is quite good. Attack and defense are not great. However, special attack and special defense are both fantastic. So I would say this is an example of the Alter Evolution being actually much better, considering its special attack is so high and special defense is almost maxed, meaning this thing is going to take no damage from special attacks, which is great. Speed also much higher. Its ability is now Cosmic Power, which is the same, which is an 80% chance you can fuse now, and Crystal Power, which means its special stats cannot be lowered, which is fantastic for it, considering those are the stats it's going to rely on almost entirely. And finally, for this line and for this video is Mega Crater Quake. Oh, I don't know if I explained the name. It's pretty simple, Crater and Earthquake. Crystal Mountain still, he's got very intense coloring. Cosmic and Rock type. His stats are now fantastic. Huge HP, huge attack, great defense, great special attack, and great special defense, and good speed. So yeah, this thing is certainly very buff, very useful. Its abilities are the same with slightly better percent chance on that one, but certainly a very good. I think how Megas will work in my specific universe is they're more like Gigantamax from Pokemon, so they're temporary even in battle, so that they're not quite as overpowered. But still, a very useful Sporemon. And that's going to do it for this video. In the next video, we're going over the next 3 lines, and I'll see you there. Bye.